get the deities ready and all. And then the frankincense and myrrh, it was just bellowing up. And then the temple room was ready and Govinda prayers start and the doors open. And Prabhupada just kind of swanned in, just with so much dignity and majesty. And then he would just pay his obeisances to the deities. And it was an extraordinary when you were a pujari and he would just be there and you would be just doing your arti, but just totally conscious that Prabhupada was right behind you as well. And what an honor it was. And it was something that I just absolutely loved, dressing the deities, and actually every aspect of deity worship was something that I just kind of fell into, and it just became natural. And one day Prabhupada came and he was standing by the deities. I could just see out of the corner when I turned around, he was really looking at Krishna. And I just really felt that he was seeing Krishna, because of course he was seeing Krishna, and we believed he was seeing Krishna as well. And so then he gave class, and we did the offerings because it was a matter of cooking and pujari work. And word came down, Prabhupada wants to see you. I went, oh gosh, Prabhupada never asked to see me before, This is the first time Prabhupada wants to see you immediately. And I thought, oh gosh, what have I done? And so I took the apron off and went upstairs, and Prabhupada was just sitting there on his asana. And I just went in and I offered my obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, and there he was. And I just remember, he just had a gamsha on. It was like massage time. And there was a window behind Srila Prabhupada's asana in his room. And the morning light was kind of coming through. And I don't know if it was diffused light, but I just remember he actually looked golden. And he was just smiling at me when I came in. And Srila Kirti was there, and he sat down. And so, you have dressed the deities. And he was saying, Krishna is looking very beautiful. Thank you so much. And I said, well, thank you, Srila Prabhupada, because Krishna wouldn't be here without you. And then he said, oh, thank you so much. You are doing very nicely. He was just so merciful. And then he said, always serve Krishna. And this life will be perfect. And the next will be perfect because you'll go back to Godhead. So that was the nutshell. So simple. And then he waved over to Srila Kirti and he said, give me my purse. Then he dips his hand into his purse and takes out $20, which in 1975 was quite a lot of money. And he hands me the $20 and he said, this is for the deity worship. And I said, oh, we'll use this for the new outfit, Srila Prabhupada. And he said, very good. Very good. And he said, continue as you are. You are doing very well. And I just thanked him for the opportunity to do the service. And here I was kind of lamenting because I never got to have much personal service for Srila Prabhupada in the sense of being in kind of the inner circle. And then actually that was just a fallacy really, because in doing whatever we were doing, we were in the inner circle, and it wasn't about externals. It was about just being present and doing our service. And Prabhupada just, he was just reaching out, and that was so wonderful. Having that little intimate exchange, that few minutes, has been one of the gifts that Prabhupada's given me.